and wealth manager with 26 years of experience. She's known as the money therapist, and Holly has been on major television, every major television network across America. She's been on 7 nationally syndicated shows, and she does speaking engagements, she does online classes, and we're super excited to have her. She's also the author of Money with a Twist of Sublime, and Do You Know Where Your Money Is? I'm really excited to have Holly with us, so Holly, if you would please come out. Give her a warm welcome.
Is it on? Okay, it is. All right, everybody's tired, I know, so I won't make this too long, but this is actually the most important part of today because now you know how to make money, but there's just one problem, especially with realtors, and that is that only 5% of realtors actually have anything to show for it. Am I right? Oh, nobody probably wants to raise their hand on that. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and that's what the whiteboard is for, because I'm going to talk for just a little bit about why that we found ourselves in this place of making so much money but not having any savings, because it's very demoralizing when you don't have any savings and you make a lot of money. And everybody here is capable of being a millionaire. I mean, even with the ups and downs of real estate, there's so much money to be made. So it does remind me of something that my first boss, when I was getting my CPA, he said, it's easy to get to the top, but it's harder to stay there. And when it comes to money, it's easy to make money, especially here, but it's harder to keep it. So again, before I give you the solution, and it's going to be so simple, it's going to blow your mind, and it's going to work for anybody here no matter what your income level is, because I'm basing it on your income. It's not going to be a complicated equation. But there's a few things that I wanted to cover that have happened over the last 20 years. And the first thing is the economic conditions. The Department of Commerce came out with a study that showed that in the last 20 years, there's been inflation somewhere between 1% and 3% per year, which is normal. But in that same 20 years, the wages for entry-level jobs hasn't changed at all. In fact, if you're one of the younger millennials right now, you're probably making less money out of school than I did, which was a long time ago. So that's scary. So think about that. There's been inflation every year for 20 years. The job market is not being inflated also. And then as the icing on the cake, there's statistically $8,000 of luxury spending per household. So if the wages haven't changed and the inflation has changed and we're spending $8,000 more a year on luxuries, where is that money coming from? It's coming directly from credit cards. So now we have a credit card problem. We have a spending problem. So what do we do about that? Well, in addition to that, now let's go ahead and throw in 2008 and the nightmare that happened there. I don't have to tell you guys because you're all realtors, but that was really horrific for the whole country. And people lost hope. They didn't know what to do, and they went through what I call a spending starvation. We just went years where we felt like we couldn't do anything for ourselves, we were just getting by. Realtors had to go get other jobs, or they just had to make do with what they could. Maybe they were being supported by a spouse. So something really amazing happened around 2013, and this just blew my mind. After this spending starvation, all of a sudden the economy turned around and everybody felt good again. And then especially with real estate, everybody was killing it. People were making more money than they had ever made before. Not just before 2008, but ever. And let me tell you what happened across the board. People went from a spending starvation to an equal and opposite energy of a spending spree. I saw people spending every dime that they had, even if they were netting out hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. They spent every dime of it and had debt. And in many cases, they didn't pay a dime of their taxes. So now, finally, when the economy turns around, you've spent all of your money because you were so tired of not having anything nice. And then on top of that, you have debt. And you owe the IRS, the IRS has become a computer nowadays. I don't know if most of you know that. So then you get 25% interest. And I'll tell you what happens when you do that. There's like a black cloud that follows you everywhere you go. And what happens is, it's actually harder to work because you get up in the morning and you're like, oh, I gotta pay my debt, I gotta pay the IRS, and you just don't feel good about it. And this applies to everyone. I've even been in a situation like that 10 years ago. I had a bad real estate deal, and it felt the same way. So then that just becomes a perpetual problem. So what we really want to do is we want to find an answer, because there's one more big thing here for realtors in general, is that everything does go up and down. It's very inconsistent, and that makes it hard to save and take care of your finances in general. And when you do get a big check, maybe you're having to pay some credit card because you haven't gotten a check for 3 months, or maybe you don't know when your next check is going to be, but you still want to buy something, so you do, and then you kind of start that whole perpetual motion over and over again. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you what this model looks like, because again, it's so simple. Because the one thing that I know that everybody knows here is how much commission they made. So the model that I'm going to show you here, I'm going to have to do a disclaimer, of course, because I don't see all of your taxes. And this isn't really about taxes. This is about taking control of your money and your finances. It's about empowering yourself so that you can feel good about money again, so you don't have that black cloud hanging over your head. So I'm going to go ahead and, you said the pen's on the other side. Okay. All right, number one. Everybody here, it seems like, has a business, because I know a lot of people were raising their hands. If you have a business, whether you're incorporated or not, you absolutely must have a separate bank account. The reason is that when I was talking about earlier from like the spending spree that everyone was having, that's what prompted me to write my book, Do You Know Where Your Money Is? Because there's 3 emotions that really affect the overspending. And it's really simple, because once you understand it, you can kind of change the pattern. And one of them is desire. So many people that have a business account mixed with their personal, they're paying so much personal expenses out of their business account, and then they think they don't have any money left, so they think they didn't make a lot of taxable income. That's why you get to the end of the year and you're kind of blindsided, because when you are spending personal funds out of your business account, you really lose track of all of it, because in your mind you kind of still think everything is deductible. And the other thing is, and I can relate to this because I'm a financial advisor and I have a partner in New York, so we have an office on Park Avenue. It's all about image too, because image is important for realtors, it's important for financial advisors, but we need to be smart and discerning about our images, because that's where that desire kicks in, to where we want something and we whip out the credit card and then we start that cycle over and over again. And it's really important to be smart and savvy with it, because you can have a great image, but not everything has to be from Neiman's or Bloomingdale's. Actually, a lot of the housewives from Dallas that I've worked with and in New Jersey, because they're always having to look good, they're really smart about it. They buy really key pieces that are expensive, and then they buy other things from consignment or even Kohl's or Target. Like, there's a way to have a great image or even a great car without overindulging and putting yourself into debt. Because remember, again, that black cloud follows you everywhere, and it actually keeps you from making more money because you're stressed and you're worried about it. And another component of that emotionally is instant gratification, which is a lot of things that everybody does. They're little things, but they don't have any intrinsic value. So you're kind of nickel and diming yourself. So an example that I'll give you is I had a client that had an office, and it was open 7 days a week, or it was a storefront, and they were buying really expensive coffees for everyone, and they didn't realize how much that was adding up because they weren't looking at the numbers. So they were short on their loan, actually $1,000. And when we went into the numbers, because they were open 7 days a week and buying these very expensive coffees, that the coffees were adding up to $1,000. So again, if you have money and you can buy whatever you want, for your image or your car or anything else, I think that's great. I'm the same way. But if you find yourself kind of in that up and down sometimes with the commission, be discerning and be smart with your money and think outside of the box, because it'll really help you a lot. And the last emotion there that I wanted to go over was what I call jealousy or keeping up with the Joneses. And those are the worst ones that I've seen a lot of doctors even have real estate and get in over their head. It's not that they went bankrupt, but with a house or a boat or a really high-end car, just be careful. Can you afford it? Is this something that has value to you? Or are you doing it to please somebody else? Because you will never enjoy that toy or that house or anything if you don't. So these are very important emotions to kind of keep you in check. And again, that doesn't mean you can't have these things, but these things are so much more fun to have when it's easy and effortless and you still have plenty of money left over. So let's get over here to this plan. If you have a bank account, if you have a business, and it sounds like most of you do, you should absolutely separate your business from your personal, or you will overspend because it's in there, you're seeing it, you're not thinking about it. So you have your bank account, and then you have your personal. We keep this real simple. Kind of turn it around, you guys can see this. Okay, so you have your business account and your personal account. So what I want everybody to do tomorrow, this is so easy, is I want you to go to the bank, and if you haven't already set this up, get this set up, and I want you to add 2 more accounts. One is going to be called tax, and one is savings. This is easy, it's free, we all know how online banking is. It's such a simple equation. And so, like I said earlier, one thing that I know that everybody knows is how much commissions they've made. So don't worry about taxes, write-offs, or anything like this, okay? If you are making 0 to 100,000 in commissions, you're depositing your check, or it's a direct deposit, then you need to take 10% of each check. This is your gross check, okay? You need to put 10% in your tax account and 10% into your savings account. This is critical. People do not set their taxes aside, and I already told you the tax rates are higher than ever. The IRS is more aggressive than ever. So you're going to take 10%. So if you get a $10,000 check, put $1,000 into your tax and $1,000 into your savings, and make it non-negotiable. And I know a lot of you haven't been doing this, but don't worry, because if you do this, you will find that you have enough money to pay your bills and for your image and your marketing, and you'll become more creative. But more importantly, and I promise you this, when you start doing this after a few months and you see that, oh wow, my taxes are paid, whether you do it quarterly or monthly, you're going to feel amazing. You're going to feel empowered. I mean, it is incredible to have control over your money. And more importantly, you're going to have savings. And that's your money. And that's what they call I have the worst handwriting, you guys. It's terrible. That's the numbers, people. Pay yourself first. I know some of you have heard that. You've got to pay yourself first, okay? If you are, like, so we're going into September and you've already brought in $100,000 of income. So now you're at the 100 to 200. Now, you got to put 15%. And I know that's probably making a few of you like, no way, that's 30%, I'm not doing that. But you're going to owe those taxes anyway. And if you put this money in savings, that money's going to you. That's why they call it pay yourself first. Because again, when you do this, and then whatever's left over in your bank account, you will still be able to pay your bills. And you'll just be more creative about it, more discerning on what you pay for. Just like with marketing. You guys do a lot of marketing, but marketing is about smart marketing. So sometimes when you have to make choices, then you find that you actually can make a better choice and still have your tax and savings. So if I kept going, of course, if you were between 200 and 300, then you need to knock that up to 20%. So yes, that means 40% of your income would go into your tax and savings. But the beautiful thing at the end of the year is you can take this savings and then you can turn it into a tax-deductible plan on your return. And then this tax amount will lower, and then you can move that back over here. And from here, you can do all kinds of investments, brokerage account, real estate, whatever you want to do. And again, this has never not happened in my office. When you take control of your bank accounts and you pay your taxes and you pay yourself first, you will be empowered in a way that you have never felt. And you will absolutely, without question, make more money. You will want to get up to make more money because you know that you're going to have more of it. And again, when you overspend, and we've all done it, I've done it myself, when you overspend, you have that black cloud. So get rid of this black cloud and start this. Just do the very best you can. If you ever in a bind, you can go into that savings account for your electric bill. But again, you have to be consistent, and you can do it. It only feels scary if you haven't been doing it and you're like, how am I going to do this with this money? So do the very best you can. And remember, money does not make people happy in and of itself. I've worked with enough millionaires to know that. But money is a wonderful thing to have, to give, to save, to grow. It's a wonderful thing to have. But just make sure that you pay yourself first. And that's it. Do you guys have any questions? If you guys do have any, oh, you got a question? Okay.
So my husband is a lobbyist in my business. I'm the antithesis of what everyone wants to be as a realtor.
Right.
My business is called Hillbilly Debutante. It is my books. It is a boutique. It is home design, interior design, which is rustic, and it is also my real estate, which is mostly flip.
Okay.
And I do not ever again want to work with luxury people. So I work with people.
Right.
I just work with everyday people. I drive a 1972 Chevy truck and I wear ripped jeans to work. This is my cleanup version. But that business, my husband is a lobbyist, so he's on the other extreme.
Right.
So we put everything in one business account and he manages my career. So he says everything needs to be in the same, because that Hillbilly Debutante is under Truett Inc.
So hold on a second. So he has his own company, or is he a W-2?
He has his own company. It's
Okay.
an
Is
LLC.
he incorporated?
He's incorporated.
Okay. Are you incorporated?
No, because I'm under his umbrella.
Okay. That is not a good idea.
Okay.
Mind me saying.
No, I sort of
And
want
the
that.
reason is, real estate in particular, you never want to intermingle with anything. There's too many things that can go wrong with real estate. Even if somebody comes and slips and falls, or you're doing a remodel, rehab, whatever it is, you absolutely never, ever intermingle real estate with any other business. And in fact, if you are running a business and then you buy real estate, which this happens probably about 30% of the time in my office, if you have your own real estate that you occupy, you still have another business for that real estate and then for your company. So if we took your husband out of the equation and you were doing the rehabs and you were a realtor, those would be two very different LLCs.
Really? So that means, so even though so the Hillbilly Debutante cannot be real estate books, and even though the brand is all the same, it cannot be.
It's not a good idea to commingle them. So if something happens with his or yours, then both of you are exposed. Anything that's in that corporation is exposed. So it's always better to have two different LLCs, and typically you would want to have yours be a partnership. He probably is an S-corp because he's actively involved. So realtors are better off to be an S-corp most of the time. But if you're flipping properties, then you should have a partnership. And if you're doing both, then you need to have two different LLCs. And people don't want to do that, because they always feel like, the attorneys just want to make more money. But it's really to protect you because, unfortunately, that's the world that we live in.
So one more question. So I want to make sure I understand this. So if I take Hillbilly Debutante away from Truett Inc.,
right?
Am I allowed to keep book sales?
Oh yeah,
Underneath
your new LLC, which you probably, you could still do all of that. So you could do the book sales, and I kind of lean towards actually the book sales would be fine in the partnership because it's going to be more of book sales, or you can put the book sales in with the rehab. They'd be in different line items, but the tax return is not really what's important. It's just the structure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My name is Anna. Pretty much do everything what you said, besides having separate accounts.
Right.
Although I do carry on my business account an amount that I don't want to go under for those. From your experience for realtors, what's the best investment that you like to put your savings money into that are best for the tax?
For realtors specifically? Mm-hmm. Well, I think in general, real estate is also obviously very profitable, or it can be a complete disaster. And it kind of depends on, you guys are realtors, so you're more savvy about it. But I know with a lot of clients of mine, they have a great, very profitable business. So then they want to have real estate. They want to do a remodel or a rehab of some kind, or they want to have a rental property. And they don't always make good decisions because they're just certain that they're going to make millions of dollars and they don't really know where the price breaks are. So I think that it's a good idea to be careful about, if you're already in real estate and you have your own real estate or your own rentals or rehabs, then I would tell you, you need to balance that by putting it in something not necessarily conservative, but that's where this is a very generic answer because everybody's financial planning is very personal. But if I had somebody come to me and they already have a lot of real estate, you're really only supposed to have about 20% or 25% in your portfolio. So I would automatically put them in the stock market. It would just depend on their aggressive or conservative.
I guess what I'm trying to say, my husband's savings are for 1K.
Right.
Mine are real estate, in addition to our personal home.
Right.
And so we right now only have one because we sold some other ones.
Yeah.
I'm gearing up to maybe speed up and get some more because I have 2 kids and somebody has to pay for college.
Right.
And I figure renter's better than me.
That's right.
So I just didn't know if it's a best idea to maybe
If you're a family and he has a 401k, so he's over here in the stock market and you're doing the real estate, I've seen that to be very, very successful because there's a lot of clients that I've worked with like that. Somebody's getting W-2, they're getting their 401k taken out and matched, and then you're doing the real estate, and I found that to be a really, really great combination.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd stay with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have your book available for us to purchase?
I do, yeah, it's right out there, and I'll go out there when we're done now. Yeah. And it's usually $10, but when I'm at a conference like this, I just do $5. Yeah. Anybody else? If anybody has a more personal question, they want to talk to me afterwards, or I think we're going up in the Lombardi room or whatever it's called. Is that what it's called? Then feel free to come and ask me a question, because I know that money is very personal and a lot of times people don't want to talk about it in a crowd, but I'm happy to answer anything for you, okay? So pay yourself first, remember.